This is the November 27th Revere City Council meeting. Could we all stand and salute the flag, please? Thank you.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Cogliandro.
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito. Here. Councilor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers. Here. Councilor Rizzo. Here. Councilor Sereno.
Yes. Here.
Here. Councilor Silvestri.
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti.
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto.
Here.
Here. And Council President McKenna.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of November 13th.
All in favor? All opposed? So ordered. Accepted.
Calendar item number 3, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro and President McKenna that the City Council award a certificate of appreciation to Anthony Parziali for hosting a fundraiser for the Good Diner and Hector's Barbershop, which were both heavily impacted by a water main break on Broadway.
Anthony, will you come up here, please? Tonight, we're offering an award for a special person. The Good Diner and Hector's Barber Shop on Broadway had 4 feet of water from a main water break inundating their business. I got the call about 8 o'clock in the morning, because that's my ward, and went down to see for myself. There I saw Anthony, muddy, cold, shivering, helping Saber, owner of the Good Diner, to salvage anything that was untouchable by the water. Thank you. Anthony has been there at the Anthony had been there at the Good Diner since 4 o'clock a.m. This guy has one of the biggest hearts. I've only known him for a year. He has one of the biggest hearts in Revere. I know if he's your friend, he'll do whatever he can to help you and go above and beyond. It is my honor tonight to give Anthony this award. Thank you.
Thank you. Biggest heart, biggest megaphone. So Joanne hit the nail on the head, but what she didn't mention is that Anthony was having his own fundraiser to benefit his campaign for election. And last minute, he changed that to use it as a fundraiser to raise money for Saber's Good Diner and Hector's Barbershop, and that was what did this for me. And saying he has a big heart is truly an understatement. So I'm going to read this really quickly. Certificate of appreciation. In grateful appreciation of his hard work, generosity, and community service by holding a fundraiser for the Good Diner in Hector's Barbershop to provide much-needed funds to enable these businesses to repair and recover after a devastating water main break. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Anthony Parziali. Congratulations. You guys got 10 seconds for pictures.
Oh, sorry.
Public hearings. Hearing called is ordered on the application of Nicholas Jacoby, 164 Harris Street, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to modify a non-conforming use by restoring an abandoned pre-existing dwelling unit in the rear of the property at 164 Harris Street.
We're going to start with proponents. Could I have your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the City Council. My name is Attorney Larry Simeone. My office is at 300 Broadway, Revere, Massachusetts, and I represent the owner of the property, Nicholas Jacoby, property being 164 Harris Street. And Mr. Jacoby lives there, and he's owned the property since the mid-2000s. He submits a request for this honorable body for a special permit in accordance with 1740-020A to modify a non-conforming structure. 164 Harris Street is in the RB district. It's lot number 4. It has 8,478 square feet and has 60 foot of frontage. The particular property has improvements. Those improvements are one 3-family home, which was constructed in 1930, as you can see by Exhibit D of our filing. And there was also a cottage that exists there since 1924, building permit 560. That building permit was given to the clerk to hand out to you. You can see that as the first document. So that cottage that is the focus of tonight's request has been at least been constructed as early as before zoning. So the particular request is pretty straightforward. He would like to renovate that cottage. He would like to improve that cottage. And I just want to show the council just very simply, the requested is 1740-020A, which means we're asking to change or substantially extend the use. And the City Council may award such special permit only if it determines that such change or extension shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. We respectfully ask this council to grant that request, our special permit, because we believe that fixing this particular building up and adding to the value of his property and using this building for what will be a 1 or 2 bedroom area, the cottage, we think will be in the best interest of the neighborhood as well as my client.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other proponents would like to come up? People that are in favor of this project? Okay, we're going to turn that side over. Opponents, people that are against, come up and speak. State your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is John Colleran. I live at 25 Thurlow Ave.
State your point, sir.
I'm against it because this property is falling down. It's one little room and 2 garages are falling down. The roofs are sagging, and there's no foundation. It's been there, like you said, since 1924. This thing's ready to fall over. And the room they're talking about, there's no plumbing, there's no kitchen, there's no bath. It's just a room with an old stove. And I had to cap the back of it because the guy that lived there when I first moved in 26 years ago asked me to do it because there was an old stove in it. So that's all there is there. This is just a pile of junk. And it's an eyesore. It's about maybe 2 to 4 feet off my property. It's only about 8 feet high. I can't see him building anything there. I mean, it would be impeding on my privacy. So if this was 20 feet away, one thing. This is right on my property line, and I'd have my grandkids out there playing. They'd be looking out the windows. I don't want it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents? State your name and address, please, for the record.
Mark Matera, 33 Thurlow Ave. I don't know if I'm a proponent or an opponent because I just want to ask a few questions. Is this going to be to Mr. Simeone or to Mr. Jacoby, is this going to be a tear down or just a rehab? Because if it's a tear down, it's got to be baited for rats and everything. But the other questions that I have would be, it cannot go any higher than it is now. Years ago, they wanted to build a 2-story house, which we shot down then. again, if it's not higher than the structure is now, I don't have an objection. I do have a question about the garage, though, because the garage is basically adjacent to my property, in that it's going to be used as a garage and not a living area. I don't want people living in that side of the structure, and that there are no windows on the backside, whether it's, oh, and the garage cannot be used for like an automotive repair, just as a garage. I don't want to hear auto repairs all evening either. So really, that's just about it, that it's not higher than it currently is now. The garage is used as a garage, no windows on the back, and again, if those conditions are met, I don't have a big problem, but if the Collarans are opposed, I'm their neighbor and I'll go along with them.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Matera. Any other opponents? Okay, any other people against this? We're going to close that side. City councilors? Councilor Cogliandro?
Thank you, Madam President. I did get a chance to meet with Mr. Jacoby. I've also had a chance to speak with the direct abutters that are behind the property, and my recommendation between now and the public hearing would be to have a meeting with the neighborhood, really get into what the issues are, and then kind of have you guys report back to me, have the developer report back to me, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Silvestri?
Thank you, Madam President. I guess I have a few of the same questions that the second gentleman had. Is this going to be a tear down and rebuild? Is there anyone here that can answer that?
Through you, Madam Chairperson, to the selectman, Mr. Counselor Silvestri. I guess the answer is pretty straightforward. There was never an intention with this filing to effectuate any expansion of the existing structure or its height from the existing dimensions. The whole idea is to just renovate it from the inside. My understanding is that there is a small portion of the house that is used for cars parking. We have no intention of changing the use of that particular. All really what we'd like to do is to take the remainder of the area that used to be the cottage, and it does have heating, and we'd like to convert that into some residential use, maybe a one or a two bedroom. As far as the other recommendations made by, we'd certainly entertain any recommendation the neighbors make.
So currently, in the structure that's there currently, are there windows that can see out back or see to the neighbors?
My understanding is that there may be a window or two and they've asked, I believe, recently that those windows be taken out, and we don't see a problem with that. Again, it's a small cottage. It was built in 1924, as you can see by the documentation. The building itself, the three family was built in 1930. So we'd just like to take an opportunity to fix it up as best we can with the guidance of the building department and the building inspector, and that's what we'd like to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sereno?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, through you to Attorney Simeoni. Sorry, thank you. Just one question. What is the intended use of the property? So obviously it could be a 1 or 2 bedroom. Will it be for a relative or Airbnb short-term rental or market rate? What's the end goal?
My client lives at the premises, so it would just be to rent it out.
Okay. Not to a relative.
Not to a B&B or to a relative or whatever. Just to add it to one of the units, invest some money into his property. That will help.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Visconti?
Thank you, Madam President. Question, so one of the opponents said there's no plumbing. Is there plumbing in there? Is there electricity in there, in the unit? Because I know you keep calling it a a cottage, okay? If there's no plumbing, no electricity, it could be also called a shed, okay, is the way I look at it, right? And at the end of the day, you know, I guess one of the major concerns I have is that this may set precedent moving forward with other properties that have the same and similar footprint throughout the city. And that's something that I have a concern about, to be honest. And, you know, where there is a direct abutter that is against this, that's a major issue for me, okay? And I'd like to know whether or not, I mean, the gentleman that came up opposing it said it's basically a knockdown. And I want to know if that is in fact the case by an ISD. So I'd like to know by inspectional services whether or not you can rehab that, or does it need to be knocked down? So before any decision, before I make any decision. But I will be honest that, you know, you have a direct abutter that is against it, and the fact that it will set precedent throughout the city moving forward is one of the obstacles that I have with the project. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chairperson, to Councilor Visconti. The only thing I can tell you, Councilor Visconti, is that a building permit was authorized to build this particular structure, and the structure was used as a cottage. For what purposes in 1924 a cottage was used from, I can't tell you. But I can tell you that the existing structure, as far as I know, hasn't been used in a very long time, with the exception of the garage, which has been used, along with, I know there's some heating there that I saw in a picture.
And I appreciate that, but to be honest with you, the 1924 permit holds no weight to me.
Well, the
Thank you.
1924 permit legalizes the structure but loses the use, so I understand
Yes.
your point.
Thank you.
Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Madam President. This is obviously going to my zoning committee, but I think some of the questions about is there plumbing or electricity are really irrelevant to the thing. We need to sort all this stuff out in the zoning committee. If it's a tear down, we'll hear that from the building inspector. But I've talked to this gentleman for years, actually, and finally directed him to an attorney to, if he wanted to try to legalize this. Now, if it can be made legally properly, fine. If it can't, it won't. But we'll deal with all these issues, and I encourage the opponents to come to the zoning subcommittee and speak their mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. I really wasn't going to ask any questions right now because I know these typically always go to zoning, but Councilor Visconti brought up an interesting point. I mean, when I looked at it just on its face, to take a non-conforming use and, an abandoned pre-existing dwelling unit, but this has no running water, it's not set up as an existing unit where somebody would be living in?
Through you, Madam President, to Councilor Rizzo. It's my understanding that the people occupied it, and there is some kind of, facilities in there. I haven't walked through the middle of the property at this time, but I know he has talked to the building inspector as to what his options are, so we'll report back to you at the zoning subcommittee on those issues, if you don't mind.
I know this is going to zoning, but on its face right now, and especially when you have neighborhood opposition, these are some of the things that have always bothered me, as you know, over the many years that we've talked back and forth together, worked together on different matters, variances that get granted by the ZBA, special permits, and, taking things like this that negatively impact residents' quality of life, for no substantial gain other than possibly monetary for the person who's looking to do it. Like, those things have always stuck in my throat. And so on its surface right now, unless there's some compelling reason to turn this into a usable rental unit, I guess is what you'd call it, I have some serious problems with it. So, but I understand it's going to zoning, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Counselor. Permission to speak from the chair, please. I went down to look at the structure with Counselor Cogliandro, and I found that it was non-habitable. The structure's in really bad shape. There's windows. I didn't see anything else in there. It looked like a shed to me. But the thing that concerns me is it's abutting. It's like there's no setback whatsoever from Mr. Colleran's yard to Mr. Jacoby's yard. There's no setback, so the property is right on the line. I don't know if they could put a fence there. I don't. But I wouldn't want it in my backyard. So I just felt that it was really in bad shape. It probably needs to be, torn down. I don't understand how anybody could fix this. So that was just my opinion. Thank you. So we're going to refer this to zoning on December 4th at 5 o'clock.
Calendar item number 5, hearing called as ordered on the application of Beachmont Post 6712, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Inc., 150 Bennington Street, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to change the existing non-conforming accessory parking use to a commercial auto storage parking use, including parking by contractor lease at 150 Bennington Street.
Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Sure
There's a
thing.
proponents.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the council. For the record, Rick Salvo with Engineering Alliance, here this evening on behalf of the Beachmont VFW Post. With me from the from the post is Jerry Goodwin, who owns the rank of quartermaster at the present time. I think everyone's familiar with the location of the VFW Post. It's at the end of Bennington Street, 150 Bennington Street. It's located in the RB district. The VFW use itself is a pre-existing non-conforming use in that district. The proposal before you is pretty straightforward. We'd like to take 22 of the existing parking spaces and be able to rent those out. As you know, many of you, I'm sure, know, civic organizations really struggle financially, especially in these times. And this would be a way for them to be able to generate some new revenue. They wouldn't be adding any parking. There'd be no construction proposed as part of this proposal. They would simply just block off 22 of the parking spaces and rent them out to somebody that would be in need of parking. In the short run, they plan to rent them to the contractors that are building 93 Bennington Street, that apartment building, that would get those trades off the road and give them a place to park during the day when they're working. So again, this would be a way for them to be able to generate some much-needed revenue and be able to continue doing the good things they do for the community. So with that, either myself or Jerry would be happy to answer any questions or comments.
We'll continue. We're on proponents first. Anybody else that would like to speak that in this favor of this project? Would you like to come up and speak? And just state your name and address for the record, please.
Jerry Goodwin, 68 Beachview Road, East Boston. Obviously, I'm a proponent for it. I'm the quartermaster there. To echo what Rick said, it's much-needed revenue. We are a nonprofit. Since I've been in there, we've already given thousands back to the community, but we're not made of money. So it's been a struggle. We were on a thread for a while. This is something that could really help give us some breathing room.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other proponents? State your name and address for the record, please.
Anthony Paziali, 51 Arcadia Street. As an owner of a few dump trucks that I can't have in the city. I mean, I could if I wanted to pay the $500 and then I wanted to park it on my street and have my neighbors be all upset. I think this is a great thing. And not even for the revenue for them. I'm happy that they get that. I think this is great for guys that own small businesses and own a couple of commercial vehicles because I can't stand when someone parks them in my neighborhood. I don't personally park my own trucks in my neighborhood for that reason because they're loud in the morning. So this would be a great spot and an alternative for someone like myself. I think it's a great idea. I hope you guys will pass it.
Thank you. Any other proponents? We're going to close that side. Opponents? Any opponents? We're going to close that side. Councilors, and I'm asking permission to speak because I'm the ward councilor.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. So I know the struggles that the VFW has been having for the last couple of years. I think this would be a great, way to profit. The only problem that I have is there has been rocks and concrete on the side of your building for 8 months to a year. I think we've talked about mattresses and furniture being dumped there, which was taken care of, but the rocks are still there, and that part of the road that goes around the VFW is closed. If this is going to happen, I'm asking for you guys to get rid of the rocks and clean up the property. Yes.
So obviously, the incident with the mattresses, the illegal dumping on September 11th, we took care of that right away after we spoke. More than happy to do that. I've been hounding the contractor to come clean up that debris. He still has some work. He's got finished work and whatnot to do. I've been hounding him as much as I can. Obviously, we're not made of money. If I could avoid us coming out of pocket to remove that where he's already been paid and this is part of the job, I would appreciate that. But having this would give us that extra revenue to say, okay, we're just going to do it and we can deal with him afterwards. But again, we're not,
The other thing I would like to see is those worldly clothing bins gone. We're trying to keep, what my purpose as a ward council is try to keep my area clean. And this just irks me that you have rocks on the side for 8 to a year of rocks on a concrete, and then you have these bins that they're overflowing with clothes. It doesn't sit well with me because I'm trying to keep, every day I go out and try to keep my ward clean. And I know it's off of the beaten path, but it's still a structure in my ward. So I would really like to see you clean it up.
So if I may, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We had Planet Aid there. We had issues with them. Memorial Day, for a lot of people, Mark, you can attest to this, is a lot of people view it as a cookout, an extra day off, a holiday. For veterans, it's a somber day. It's a day of remembrance. We came out, it happened to be the same day as Winthrop yard sale, like townwide yard sale. Total disaster out there, couches, mattresses, the whole nine. We've gotten rid of them. We switched over to CMRK. They're doing 6-day-a-week pickup. They've been a lot better, a lot cleaner. So we've been happy with that. We had a lot of issues with Planet Aid. To the concrete, look, I think I'm involved at the VFW, obviously. Veterans should have a nice place to be. I would love for that debris pile to be gone. We've had this, you can check our meeting minutes. We've been talking about this for months. Again, we don't have that revenue to get it removed on our own. We would love to, we can't. We're fixing everything else. I know it doesn't look like it. The last 2 years, we've actually come a long way from where we were. And it's been a lot of hard work. None of us get paid. This is all 100% volunteer for the veterans. So yes, I agree. I would love to get rid of that. Like I said, financial situation, we can't spend money there where we could use it in other places. I'd like to get the parking lot redone. That's $100,000, so, but that's all.
Thank you. I think the facility looks great. I just wanted you to know that my father was the commander and got the guns in front of the guns in front of the VFW, so.
I love them. My kids do too, so.
Any councilors? Councilor Silvestri?
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to, I would think, Jerry. So how are the parking spots? Have you come up with a plan of how these are going to be rented? is there an extra insurance that is needed on behalf of for instance, I rent a spot off you, something happens to my vehicle. Is it on me? Is there a coverage through the club? I just don't want to see something that was meant to do good end up hindering or hurting the club in the long run.
Right. No, that's something I can look into. Mr. Salvo has come up with a plot plan and everything for it. On the insurance side, yeah, that's something I'd be more than happy to look into.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Rizzo.
Thank you, Madam President. Jerry, first off, I think you guys have done a phenomenal job with the club. As you know, I'm a lifetime member down there, and I don't get there as often as I'd like to, but I know the good work you guys do, and you went through a lot getting to the point where you are right now with that function hall. I mean, I know that was a real kick in the pants to not have access and use for that. But then fortunately, I believe with the efforts of State Representative Turco.
Yes.
You were able to make some incredible improvements, and you're on the way to a first-class hall over there. So I just want to wish you guys luck. And as you alluded to, nobody's making any money over there. These are all volunteers, and anything we can do to help support the organization and the veterans that enjoy that facility and enjoy going, whether it's the summer barbecues, whether it's to the Memorial Day remembrances, whether it's to the monthly meetings, whatever it is, I personally think we should be supporting it. And, I do have just one question, and this is just for my own curiosity. I remember many years ago, we allowed for that communications tower to be put out there. Is that still ongoing? Are you generating any revenue from that, or is that?
Yes and no. So before my tenure, I have the contract in my office. I still have to review it to see. But prior to my arrival there, they sold that tower off to pay off the mortgage on the building.
Okay.
When they did that, the mortgage was paid off and it was an agreement. I believe it was 8 years at $20,000 a year. I think we're on like the last 2 years right now. Of that. Again, I have to go back, review that contract, and what happens after that. We own the land underneath, but the cell tower and the rights to it, those were sold before my tenure, which I think is unfortunate because that was generating significant revenue for the place.
Right. Okay, well, that was just for my own curiosity. You have zero impact on anybody around you for the use that you're looking to take on over there, and I think Council President McKenna has legitimate concerns, but those concerns can be addressed if we approve, what you're looking to do here. So, I stand with all of you, and I plan on supporting it.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And like I said, it would, and I hope that the contractor can honor what he's supposed to do and take that debris out. Again, we believe we deserve a nice place. We want our place to be a top quality place. There's still a lot of work to do. We have a million things to do in that place. You guys have all seen it. You've been there. I mean, we've come a long way, but there's still a long way for us to go. Again, I can tell you, we have our meeting Saturday. I'm more than happy to say, listen, if we get this and he doesn't get this stuff out of here, we can take this revenue and use that and get that debris hauled out. I would like to see him honor his thing as a matter of principle. If that's what's necessary, then that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President, and I'm glad to see everybody is on the same page with this, that we certainly want to help our veterans, and we certainly want to help the Beachmont VFW. It's an institution, and it's coming back. And so I think that, a lot of people are volunteering their efforts to make this happen, and we're grateful to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Jerry, I just met Jerry at the Veterans Day program, which, may I say, the VFW donated the hall for that wonderful evening we had down there. And I just have a few questions regarding renting spaces. How many total spaces are there on the property?
73 spaces.
Okay, one of the concern, I didn't know you were using it to offset the construction people across the street.
So right now, we've let them use that because we heard that it was a major parking concern on Bennington Street. So,
And I have no problem doing this. My concern was this going to be rentals like some of these thrifty places where people could come and go from the airport and come in the middle of the night and get their cars? But if it's during the day, I have no problem with it initially, because you have such an active facility there, especially when this is daytime, again, what I'm saying. At nighttime, your facility cannot handle a lot of the parking and some of the parties that they have, and they're utilizing the school parking lot. So I just don't want to, put these 22 spaces aside where you won't be able to use them all the time. But if it's only a daytime thing for now, I think it's a great idea. I employ it.
yeah, no, and I agree with you. That was something we talked about. Our function hall is our biggest revenue generator, and that's essentially, we're booked out now Friday, Saturday, even Sundays. So we don't want to interfere with the parking on that. I'm surprised. In the last 2 years, I didn't think I'd see it, but our parking lot's full again for the first
Yes,
time
it
in
is.
a long time. I thought it was closed when I first went in there. There was weeds growing out of the gutters. There was no cars in the parking lot ever. And I saw people coming out while I was playing baseball with my son at the ball field behind it. And then one thing led to another, and I'm getting gray hairs from the place now, so.
I just want to say one thing. I think that eliminating smoking in that facility made a huge difference to people, because I used to have my fundraisers in there, and you could smell the smoke, and people would leave with their smell on their clothes. So I think that was huge, what you did.
Madam
Thank you,
President,
ma'am. I appreciate that.
I'd like to finish, if I may. No. I just don't, do we know how long this project's going to be that you're going to be doing this?
So my understanding is, and I could be wrong, just talking to some of the guys with Rubicon, was 36 months. And that could go longer or shorter, not.
I know we're going into zoning, but, if we put a time limit on it for the extent, the total extent of the project across the street, would that be an issue?
I mean, I can't imagine it would. It would be a good thing to have that revenue maker in the future for us.
Right,
I want
right.
us to be more than, sorry to cut you off, but I want us to be more than just a bar. And I want us to
Right.
tap different
Yeah.
sources so that we're not
Yeah.
just a bar
I-
and rely on alcohol.
I just don't want to see it a 24-hour operation.
Oh, you're saying time constraints, like daytime? Like, oh, yeah, no, I don't think that would be an issue at all. These guys, they're talking regular business hours. I think they're in at 7 to 4 or something
Yeah.
like that.
I'm glad you're doing this, I'm for it, but I'm just looking at what the potential negative things would be down the road. So that's something we can talk about when we get to zoning. Thank
Yep,
you.
perfect.
Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Madam President. So I had 3 items I wanted to mention. One was whether or not there was going to be negative impact, like based on what Councilor Silvestri mentioned, liability insurance, or in the hours of operations, whether they're going to interfere with like the function room, because those are moneymakers for you guys. But you're going to get us an answer on the liability. in
Yeah, so the
subcommittee.
liability, Mr. Morbier, I'd be more than happy to reach out to the insurance in the morning,
Please.
and I can get you guys an answer. I think I have most of your numbers. I can let you all know.
I think at the end of the day, my default feeling on this is the mission of the VFW is for the well-being of the veterans, those who have served our country, those who, left their families to serve our country, those who just sacrificed everything for the freedoms we have. It's a no-brainer that I can't say any of us wouldn't want the VFW to benefit from this. So I'm all for this. I just want to make sure there's no adverse impact as far as losing revenue because of liability or hours of operation. So
Absolutely. Completely
If you can
understandable.
get
And like I
more
said, we're
information.
definitely open to the time constraints. It's all business hours, and I can have an answer with the insurance company hopefully tomorrow. They're pretty good at getting back and getting answers.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. Counselor Sereno.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, through you to Mr. Goodwin. Sorry about that. First of
problem.
all, thank you for your service to our country and for bringing back the VFW. It's quite, I haven't been down there except for political events, but I've heard it's really come back, and that's thanks to you from what I've been told.
Well,
So-
it's a team effort, and really couldn't have done anything without Representative Turco. Got us a
Right.
significant amount to get us going, so
Well,
if I could extend my thanks to him.
We all love Jeff, too. But in any event, to build off of Councilor Novoselsky's question, my question was kind of, after the construction of the Bennington Street project is done, who do you foresee would be renting these? Would they be commuters or, from an aesthetic point of view, just would these cars be here for, days and weeks at a time, or would they be, daily or?
We would not aim for that. I would say, right now, we are really just concerned with the construction site across the street. If we could get it long-term, then, I mean, with the train station right there, we're kind of between Beachmont, we're between Suffolk Downs. To have it for commuters, 9 to 5, maybe 8 to 5 would be perfect, would be an ideal situation. But that would, again, I think 36 months down the road, or whenever that project is done, so long as we're granted that way.
Cool, I think that would be great. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Goodwin, I certainly remember how many veterans clubs there were in the city at one time, social clubs. I think it's probably at least a dozen, go back to the Mottola Post, the Jewish War veterans. I remember when the Beachmont VFW was established down at the intersection of Winthrop and Crescent Ave, okay?
Before my time, but I've heard the
Yeah,
stories,
I
sir.
remember. In fact, I had many friends that used to get around there and spend time. But I think this is a great way to raise money to sustain these veterans organizations throughout the city. We don't want to lose any more. They're good to have in the city. I mean, you can have weddings there and bar mitzvahs and all kinds of things and activity going on. So I think this is something we all should support here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Madam President. Hi, pal. Are you going to be managing this? Are you going to be using an app like the Neighbor app? What are you going to be?
No, so it would, unfortunately, it probably will fall on my shoulders, so long as I'm the quartermaster and I'm there. Am I going to be doing it in 10 years? I don't know. I have no idea. But for now, yeah, it's probably going to fall on my shoulders.
In how many spots? Again, I think that was asked, just to reiterate.
We're looking for 22.
Okay. From a small business standpoint, trying to find different ways to make your business successful, and this being a nonprofit, I have absolutely no problem with you renting 22 spots 24/7. You have video monitoring, I'm assuming.
We do, yep.
And I believe if a vehicle is damaged on your property, depending on how, the liability doesn't fall all on you. I just think we should be allowing businesses to do more. If it doesn't work out, we can take it away. But, I look at like our license commission, who they have done a great job helping the businesses in this city survive. So I'm for whatever you want to do, 24/7, 9 to 5, 9 to 8, 9 to 7. I don't care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And Counselor Visconti.
Well, I'll end on saying congratulations, Jerry, to you and the people that are working with you. It's great to see a younger group of veterans there putting in a lot of time and effort to make it a respectful and nice place for veterans to hang out. With that being said, I can't see a problem with this, to be honest with you. It's a creative way of generating some revenue and helping that business in the bar and the club over there. So I would be in favor of it. And, whatever it is going to zoning, is that correct? So we can iron out the details. But I just wanted to say congratulations to you and the people that really have taken an effort to really bring this back to life. So
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Good team around me.
Thank you. We're referring this to zoning subcommittee December 4th at 5 o'clock. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Council President.
Calendar item number 6, hearing called is ordered on the application of Zorro LLC, 1048 North Shore Road, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council for the reconstruction, alteration, extension of the pre-existing non-conforming residential use and structure for the purpose of constructing a 4-story, 11-unit residential apartment building at 1473 North Shore Road.
I'm going to start with proponents. Proponents, please. Anybody in favor?
Good evening.
State your name, please.
Good evening, Madam President and City Councilors. My name is Nancy O'Neill, and I am an attorney at 14 Proctor Avenue, and I represent the applicant, Zorro LLC. We respectfully request that the application may be withdrawn without prejudice due to the tight time frame at the end of the year.
Okay. Okay. Any other proponents? Okay, we're going to close that side. Opponents? Any opponents? We're going to close that side. Councilors? Any city councilors?
Madam President, Ward Councilor Ira Novoselsky, this is going to be withdrawn with time restraints, and they'll come back after the first of the year.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. We're going to take this, sorry, Councilor Sereno?
Madam President, may I just ask a question
Sure.
to the applicant? If Ms. O'Neill could come forward. What was the rationale for filing it in the first place at this point, if it was going to be withdrawn without prejudice now?
We believe that we would have enough meetings, but just to have enough input from abutters, and we would schedule a community meeting just to get everybody's input and to make sure that we have enough time for the end of this session and to not have our application have any ill effects from that. We'd like to continue on and get everybody's feedback and come back again. Thank you.
It's just peculiar, Madam President. I will leave it at that. It just, we have how many special permits in this lame duck period? It's, residents are watching and residents aren't foolish or stupid, I should say. So, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Okay, we're going to take the request from the applicant to withdraw the application without prejudice. We're going to do a roll call.
Shall the City Council approve the applicant's request to withdraw the application without prejudice? Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
No.
No. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes, the application has been withdrawn without prejudice. Calendar item number 7, hearing called is ordered on a zoning ordinance further amending the revised ordinances of the City of Revere by establishing Green Street and Shirley Avenue Smart Growth Overlay Districts pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40R.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, councilors. Tom Skrowski, 281 Broadway, Chief of Planning and Community Development. And I don't want to be too long-winded tonight. My intent here was just to update you all after the presentation 2 weeks ago, addressing some of the questions that you may have had at that meeting. I can't get the court to actually come up here for the presentation itself, but it's fine. I can just kind of walk through things verbally. So there were a few different updates about questions that were posed by the council at the last meeting. The first was the Shirley Avenue district. There were some questions about areas of the district that were the underlying district is purely residential. It's not general business. It's not a PUD or PDD district. That there was some concern about including those residential lots into this overlay. After the meeting, in consultation with Councilor Novoselsky, those parcels were proposed now to be removed from the district. I have a map to show, but again, the visual's not working. And then the Green Street question that was posed as to whether or not we could add lots that were northwest of the existing boundaries, basically covering the rest of the lots on Green Street. I have a map that shows that as well, and I'll certainly send it to the councilors after the fact. And then there were some questions about whether or not the state would hold us to that December 31st deadline, which all rapid transit communities must meet to be in compliance with MBTA communities. And I asked the state, and they were pretty firm and unequivocal that we must meet compliance by that deadline. And then there was a question about sort of a 5-year look back, working with our auditor as to sort of what the impact would be on the city of Revere, and looking at all the different grants that were included in both the original law and then the subsequent interpretation by Governor Healy's office of all the other grants that their office would basically remove from contention if we're not in compliance. There's a series of 10 different grants, and in total, it would be about $20 million in the last 5 years that we've received from all these various grant programs. I think the one grant that I did not mention at the last meeting, and frankly, just because I'm not as familiar with it, is called the Local Capital Projects Fund. That is a fund that the Office of Housing and Livable Communities uses to fund capital project improvements within housing authorities. And some of you may have heard in the last year with a few different communities that chose not to be compliant in the first stage, what we call interim compliance. They actually lost funding for their housing authorities to conduct basic capital improvements. And just in the last 5 years, that was about $4.3 million worth of funding that we received from the Local Capital Projects Fund. And we would not stand to lose all of that. It's basically a portion of that we would lose. So just in the last 5 years, all told, about $20 million worth of funding. And then there were some questions about the full compliance criteria, because folks had mentioned we do meet the minimum land area requirement, which is that we have 27 acres of land zoned for multifamily housing. We do have a good chunk of that within the developable station area. But the question is the minimum multifamily unit capacity, which is one of 3 criteria that we must meet, and that's the one that we do not meet. And that's the reason I'm before you, the reason I was presenting 2 weeks ago, and why we need to make some changes to our zoning. And then in terms of what our alternatives would be to what I brought in front of you 2 weeks ago, one alternative is to upzone the existing general business and RC2 districts across the board. So that would include Broadway, that would include districts, along Revere Street heading down to the beach, as well as Bennington Street and the few RC2 parcels on Squire Road. So we basically could do the same thing that I proposed for the Smart Growth District, but take that across all of the GB districts, increase the height a little bit, reduce the lot size a little bit, and increase FAR a little bit across the board. The reason why basically we would need to do that to come into compliance across the board as opposed to a few targeted areas is because what the proposal that's in front of you, what this does is actually takes a look at a few very sizable parcels. So the Green Street kind of Lee Trailer Park area, and then in the case of the Shirley Avenue District, the Wonderland Marketplace parcel is another sizable parcel. That helps add to our unit count substantially because those areas were not currently zoned for multifamily housing. So absent those large parcels, we need to make it up with smaller increments throughout the entire city, any areas that are zoned for multifamily housing. Another alternative would be to basically adjust the existing lots and the existing zones as we have them today, which is, talking with Councilor Novoselsky and removing a few parcels, perhaps adding a few on Green Street. We can still work within the existing district and modify it here and there as we need to. And then the third way to come into compliance would be to add new multifamily districts entirely. And that would be basically looking at existing areas that today are not zoned for multifamily housing and adding them into our zoning to allow for multifamily housing by right. A few different areas that could potentially qualify: Beachmont Square, Squire Road, Caddy Farms, existing sites that we could gain a significant amount of multifamily unit capacity by changing our zoning. So those are really kind of 3 alternatives we have to the proposal that's in front of you. And then there was a question about the proposed development that will be in front of the council in 2024 at Lee Trailer Park. And that development had 237 units, is what's proposed, has an FAR of 2.6, and is a 7-story proposed development. And I just wanted to be clear that that proposed development would not be eligible under this district. If they wanted to build, they would still need to get a special permit from the city council to build for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's 7 stories, not 6, which is the limit. Number two, the FAR is 2.6. Number three, it only has 0.75 parking spaces proposed per unit. The average for this district is about 1.65. And then lastly, 0% of the units are affordable. You would need to have 20% to comply for this bonus zoning district. So this would still be a project that would have to go in front of the city council that would not be approved by right through this zoning proposal. But those are all the updates based off of what we talked about at the last meeting. I'll let proponents and opponents speak and then answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents on this?
My name is Attorney Larry Simeone, and I represent 333 Lee Burbank Highway and Sika Family Trust. They have, at the last meeting, said that they were in favor of this new change and overlay district, that they simply wanted to make sure that both sides of Green Street, which they own property on, will be part of that overlay district. I understand, in listening to the chief planner, that that's going to be accomplished, so we thank you very much for that, and we'll continue to work and support.
Any other proponents? Thank you. Any opponents? Please come up and speak. Any opponents? Against? I'm going to shut that down. Councilors? Any councilors? Okay. We're going to refer this to zone. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I might
That's
as well
all right.
ask a question for Tom. Tom, you stated the minimum units were, had to be what, 12 or?
Oh, in order to qualify for this district?
In order to qualify, I think there was a minimum of units. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So there is a minimum that the city council could set for the affordability requirement.
Exactly.
So technically, any housing development could qualify under this overlay, but under the minimum that I proposed to the council, it would be 8. So any project 9 units or greater would have to comply with the 20% affordability requirement. The council could go as low as 1 and require every single project that uses this overlay must have, well, I guess, one unit having 20% affordable. That's just 1 unit.
Well,
you get my point.
That's my question.
Yeah.
If we go with 9 and you have a 20%, that's a what's that, 1.9? So
You would have to round up.
You round up.
Correct.
So they're going above. So my only question would be, does it make sense so it's fair across the board to make it an even 10? So it's at 20%, because if you have 9, you're at a little bit higher percentage of affordability. So that would be one of the changes that I would recommend, is starting at 10 rather than at, would you say 8?
8, yes.
Yeah, that just so it's not, because if you do 8, then it's 1.6, right? And you're rounding up, which means that it's 2 units have to be affordable. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not great with math on the fly, but I believe you're correct.
1 point, yes, which increases the affordability from 20% probably up to 25 or so. So to make it fair across the board, I would probably start at 10. So at 20%, it's an even 2, if that makes sense.
It does.
My suggestion. But
And then in that case, the 8 and the 9s would have no requirement.
no requirement,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make it fair for those people that have, or those developers that have 8 or 9 units and now have 2 affordables and have to increase that percentage. That's all. I'm just trying to make it fair across the board.
Understood.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, councilors. Any other councilor? Okay, we're going to shut that down, and we're going to refer this to the zoning subcommittee December 4th at 5 o'clock.
Calendar item number 8, hearing called is ordered on an ordinance further amending the revised ordinances of the City of Revere relative to the Assistant City Clerk and Zoning Board of Appeals Clerk.
Going to start it off with proponents. Proponents? No proponents. We're going to end that. Opponents? Any opponents? Going to end that side. Any city councilors? Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Madam President. As I stated at the last meeting, the ZBA clerk's salary has not been updated in 25 years. Putting it into an inflation calculator through the state, we came up with $12,000 for that position. Also, the assistant city clerk is not actually a position in the city, but it needs to be listed as one. Currently, the assistant city clerk is labeled as an administrative assistant, and she is handcuffed as to what she is able to get paid, unfortunately. So we are just trying to make this right. As I stated before, this woman has worked for the city since 2006. She has been appointed as the assistant city clerk, and she needs to be compensated as one as well. I would ask that we table this tonight where we don't have any room for an additional subcommittee at the meeting on December 4th, so that way it goes directly to the council, and we can vote on it then if there's no opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
I support my colleague, and I support this wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. We're going to table any other councilors? I'm sorry. We're going to table this to the meeting on December 4th.
Zoning Subcommittee report is next.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President. As we know, the zoning subcommittee met this evening, and we have 2 items to report out. We'll take them separately. C-23-06 was voted out favorably, and I would ask for a roll call.
Roll call.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested, subject to the conditions set forth by the Zoning Subcommittee? Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito? Yes. Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And President McKenna? Yes. The special permit has been granted.
The next item is C-23-07 was also voted out favorably. I'd ask for a roll call.
Roll call.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested for 195 American Legion Highway? Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
No.
No. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. The special permit has been granted. Calendar item number 11, communication.
Madam President, members of the council, Paul Fahey, Election Commissioner. Madam President, this was not my item. I'm certainly here to speak to any questions relative to the recount per se. I'm supportive of this because it has to be paid for. The recount was ordered in due process and was approved by my board. So if there are questions about the recount itself, I'm happy to address those questions.
Would any councilors like to speak? No councilors? No questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so I can do a roll call to increase. Say it again. Sorry. Okay, roll call.
Shall the City Council approve a supplemental appropriation to the FY24 budget in the amount of $30,000 for the Election Department? Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito?
I hear you. Give me a second. Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, and President McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, the FY '24 additional appropriation has been approved.
Madam President, point of order, please.
State your point.
I'd like to go back to C-2307 regarding the 195 American Legion Highway and ask suspension of rules, hoping that it will not prevail. Reconsideration.
So granted. Okay.
No. No suspension of rules.
So there is no suspensions of rules. We stated that since, okay.
Yeah.
A roll
that's what
call.
That's what we're asking for. Roll call for suspension of rules.
On the suspension of rules, Counselor Cogliandro.
No.
No, Counselor Morabito.
No.
No, Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Powers. No, Counselor Rizzo.
No.
No, Counselor Sereno.
No.
No, Counselor Silvestri.
No.
No, Counselor Visconti.
No.
No, Counselor Zambudo.
No.
No, and President McKenna.
No.
No, the rules will not be suspended. Excuse me. Calendar item number 12, communication from the mayor-elect requesting that in recognition of Small Business Saturdays, that parking meters not be enforced on the following Saturdays in December, December 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd.
Any councilors? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 13, communication from the mayor-elect requesting the temporary appointment of Savannah Carlson to the Cultural Council expiring on January 1, 24.
Any councilors?
Madam President?
Councilor Cogliandro?
So as everybody knows, after the resignation of the former mayor, it was my decision as the chair to not have any appointments to any body unless it was absolutely necessary. Since April, we've only held one appointment subcommittee, and that was to someone on the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is a very important board in the city. We do have two people for the Cultural Council, and if I may, I was surprised to find out that the Cultural Council actually controls state funding, and in this case, we don't have a quorum, and they need to, by the end of this year, release that funding. One of the recipients is the library. So as you can see here, it's been done correctly according to the rules of an acting mayor. This is a temporary appointment till the end of this year, and at which time they can, the mayor can choose to reappoint. But I'm going to ask that these are both voted on this evening so that we can have a cultural council meeting held and the library can get the funding it deserves. Thank you.
Would you like a roll call?
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Shall the City Council confirm the temporary appointment of Savannah Carlson to the Cultural Council? Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, and President McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, the temporary appointment has been confirmed. Calendar item number 14, communication from the mayor-elect requesting the temporary appointment of Joseph Hefetz to the Cultural Council expiring on January 1, 24.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Shall the City Council confirm the temporary appointment of Joseph Hefetz to the Cultural Council? Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky. Yes, Councilor Powers. Yes, Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Visconti.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, and President McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, the temporary appointment has been confirmed. Calendar item number 15, communication from the mayor-elect requesting a residency waiver pursuant to section 2.06.060B of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere for Christine Beals, Assistant City Clerk.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Madam President. This goes hand in hand with the ordinance change, or the addition to the ordinance, the modification. and I'm asking everybody to support this. Again, this woman's worked for the city since 2006. In fact, her and I went to school together for quite some time. Was a Revere resident for 25 to 30 years. She currently does not live in Revere, and that's why we're requesting this waiver. Thank you.
Would you like a roll call?
If no opposition to that,
Any opposition?
or any
All in
comments?
favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Motions, calendar item number 16, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the acting mayor request a member of the MSBA to come before the city council to discuss the future of the current high school project.
Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Madam President. This motion kind of speaks for itself. I think I can speak for the entire council when I feel like we were a little misled this year with what the MSBA was willing to do for the city. I'd like to hear from them directly if they would be so kind to come here and answer some questions for us. I know there's a lot of things being said about the high school still, but I'd like to hear it directly from them that they have our back, depending on what we do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors like to speak? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 17, motion presented by Councilor Zambudo, that the city council rescind special municipal employee status pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 268A, Section 1N for the following boards and positions: Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Constables, License Commission, Cultural Council, Clerk to the ZBA, and Auxiliary Police Force.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President. This is just a clerical, this is kind of like housekeeping, and these things are not needed and should be removed.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Roll call.
Shall the city council rescind special municipal employee status of the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Constables, License Commission, Cultural Council, Clerk to the ZBA, and the Auxiliary Police Force? Councilor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito?
Can I have more clarification from the maker of the motion?
What would you like to know?
I would
We don't
like to
have
know
an
that-
auxiliary police force anymore. You know, all of these waivers are irrelevant at this point. Yeah.
Yes.
Councilor Morabito voting yes. Councilor Novoselsky? Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Those boards and positions listed have been rescinded from special municipal employee status. Calendar item number 18, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky, that the mayor-elect request the appropriate department to relocate the existing electronic speed reader from 102 Campbell to 42 Campbell Ave in the interest of public safety.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, recently on Campbell Ave, which is used as a bypass road from Northshore Road, and people come speeding up there on a regular basis. We have since put in a speed hump, and they put it right exactly where the speed machine is. So, and what happens is after the speed hump, everybody speeds up and flies down the hill. So I want to be able to put the machine further down the hill so people can see how fast they're going and hopefully slow down. So, thank you.
All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Zambudo, that the acting mayor be requested to include funding in the IT department FY25 budget for city-issued email addresses for all board and commission members.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President. This pretty much speaks for itself. If you work for the city in any capacity, you should have an email address. It's the law. And we've hesitated to do it for financial reasons. That's why it needs to be put in the budget, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 20, motion presented by Councilor Silvestri, that the City Council send a letter to the Joint Committee on Veterans and Federal Affairs in support of and requesting swift passage of Bill House 4172, an act honoring, empowering, and recognizing our service members. This bill, if enacted, would allow the city of Revere to provide additional property tax relief for veterans.
Council Silvestri.
Thank you, Madam President. As many of you know, or maybe you don't, recently the governor put forward the HEROES Act bill. In there's some amazing benefits to veterans, family members, some doubling tax breaks, making them concurrent with the affordable, and many more. So I'd like this body to send a bill in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor-elect request the city solicitor to appear before the city council to provide an update on the litigation status of the property located at 585 Northshore Road.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. About 2.5 years ago, I had a meeting over in with Attorney Jerry Brown, and it was regarding the building at 565 North Shore Road. At that time, there was objections by the owner. At that time, his counsel also advised him that he should comply with the request that was asked. You got two buildings there. One of them is on the front, it's fenced off, that's fine. Well, it's not fine, but that's the law, I guess. But the building in the back can go into the water at any time. It does go in parts of it, and it messes up the surf down there where the boats are kept, the yacht club down the Pines, and also the tuna club. The building in the back is the one that I'm really concerned with. That has been posted by the fire department to do not enter in the event of a fire, so that no one would possibly get hurt. They've already had an oil spill down there. The oil spill has cost the city and the DEP thousands of dollars because somebody broke into that, got in, cut the tubing on the gasoline pipes, and it all went into the surf around there. So I'd like to find out exactly what's going on. I was told by a previous city solicitor that they could not do anything because he's in bankruptcy now. He's filed bankruptcy. I disagree with that, and I think it's been proven that if you own a piece of property, your responsibility is, no matter who owns it, the bank, the federal government, or whoever, you have to take that property and maintain it in an area so that it's not harmful to any of the residents, or possibly harmful to any of the residents that go onto that property. So I've asked the city solicitor. I talked to him tonight. He's going to get me some information. I've spoken to the mayor about it, and I'd like to know exactly what's going on. Are we going to take the building? Can we take the building? I'm told legally we can, and I'm going to look into that further. There's no reason that a building that's damaged and can cause possible harm to any resident of this city, particularly children, should be allowed to keep and maintain that building as it has been maintained for 2.5 years. And I'd like an answer to that question. I'd like the city solicitor to come up and answer that question to the general public. I don't want anybody thinking that we're letting that building lie there and because of politics or anything like that. That's not the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered. This meeting stands adjourned until December 4th. Sorry. I wish. Please stay safe during this busy holiday. Thank you.